Okay, as our program, the next one is I give the brief or the scenarios, what is needed in the food systems, talking about in coming 15 to 20 minutes around giving the issues, challenges, and try to where we need to move in whole food systems. That's the farm to fork, and that's the topic was chosen here, and I will be giving brief on this one, innovations and connectivity through farm to fork for sustainable lifestyles and healthier society. And I have been introduced, like myself as Professor Anil from AIT, working on this since last around 2 decades now on these food systems, and aiming much more work in collaborative way to work throughout the globe. And that's the purpose of organizing such type of activities. Okay, sorry for technical. Okay, with talking with the issues first, what are the issues we have current and the broad issues through these pandemic situations? We know that there's a huge demand of food due to increased populations. Not only that, even we have the food, we don't know what we are eating now. I mean, nutritionally we are enhanced or not, whether we are eating that is good amount of nutrition is there or not. So that is still, and then the production systems itself is looking our societies on environmentally the capable or building the globally is sort of things that we are matching or not. If you see that about the food and nutrition security there, what we are talking, the populations will be increasing, the same time nutritionally we are enhanced or not. So there was a Millennium Development Goals which makes some sort of steps were taken, but that was reduced from 25% to almost half of that in 2014, but then it's still there. So now we know that also the Garrett speak about the Sustainable Development Goals, what we have, and that is the 2030 agenda. And it has been, some of them is like food nutrition security, enhanced and health, talking about sustainable consumption and productions, all those things. But how we can make it? That's the bigger challenge and questions for our generations and the future generations are facing and need to tackle. But for this, there is needed to have the innovative ideas. But not only the production side, not only enhancing the nutrition, the bigger challenge is coming how to reduce the losses happening throughout the food supply chain. And this food supply chain, when I talk, I'm not only coming up to the retailers, but at the consumer level. So if you see that there are almost, it has been that 1/3, 35% of the food what we are generating, same, we are losing out of that 35%. And it is not at the level of farm in between there to the industry, that's the cause of post-harvest loss. But it also coming at the retailer level, at the industry level as well. And then at the consumer level, obviously in Asia, we have less on the consumer levels, but we have the post-harvest loss. In some of the commodities, we are losing almost 45%, 50%. But if you talk in the very developed, like the US, the majority of the food loss is not a loss, but is a waste, because the table waste is wet. If we accumulate those, we can solve a bigger problem of the food security there. So that's need to be thought. Among also that, this loss is bringing a huge amount of greenhouse gas emissions problems and generating. So that loss can be also, if you reduce somehow, then can make environmental issues to be solved as well. So there is a need of the ideas and the challenges. These things are already there, and we face now COVID-19, which is bringing much more challenges as well, starting again from the farm up to the consumer levels. And so I'll be giving a little bit brief on that, where that's my thought actually, but obviously would be happy to listening from and getting ideas from the other experts here as well. And then we'll be getting from the audiences, sending us some of the details now and in the future, because our connections will be getting from here now. after COVID-19, what we see there, especially, the lockdowns, and there is a transportation, there is a completely locked between the countries, within the cities, in between the cities, and that makes a lot of havoc situations, like we have lack of distribution. There is a problem with the handling and the storage of the materials, including the raw materials, raw ingredients, quality ingredients. We don't have to go to the food production systems. So you don't have the food processing, or you don't have the food products enough to supply as well. Along with that, there is a proper logistic problems that can be not supplied through there to the consumers are getting. Overall, that, like earlier, also made from the earlier speaker as well, what we are getting the food, that food might not have enough quality, or they are not coming they're not giving and people were thinking whatever they are as a bulk buying there without looking, because you want to save there in home and no need to go out. That was the fear, and that fear has been still there. Now you see that still the COVID is creating us problem. So that's the problem. Just one example here. It is few months back has been taken. You can see that how this has been affected. One of the picture of the left side up, you can see that is from the Nepal. Many of the farmers, when they grow there, it was difficult to supply. Even we have less, whatever to consumers are, demand is more, but supply is less. But then still the farmers have to throw all the vegetables, many more, like all those type of commodities, they cannot supply to the market, and they have to supply. So that's a wastage. But not in Nepal and our countries. If you think about USA, you see that 1 million pounds of onions were dumped in the USA, that one, because it could not supply to the consumers level, or retailers supplies were problem. Similarly, another slide is showing that mulches green beans at certain farm was just by tractor, it become like a fertilizer rather than coming to the food in consumptions. So these are the bigger problems came, and this is just few examples I take here, but much more examples are, if you go through the new, you can see there. That's the one of the supply side, but other supply is coming, the fear. If you see that early notice in January or December when it started, everybody was like looking that this COVID came from the food, which was later was not rejected. That's not coming from, it's coming from human to human. But that was the big fear for the people, and people were not accepting to buy the food like that way, maybe coming as we are getting. But we know now, enough evidence is there that it is coming through the respiratory systems, and it is coming human to human contact more through the air droplet, or if you are more close contacts. There has not been still any evidence saying that is coming the food, but still the supply chain has been affected, the production has been affected. There is a fear that the package systems can have been bringing, so the science is still lacking there to give the enough evidence, and that is affecting on the food supply, as well as there is a cautious need to be done for the safety aspects. Now with this, I have just taken one example here in the safety aspect if you are talking, but and more need to thought, antimicrobial resistance, which is coming through the food supply chain very usually, and that has been already challenged coming there. But now this COVID-19 is getting more exaggerating actually that one. Like if you see there is a chance already, this is an old report actually saying that by 2050 by AMR could make 10 million deaths, and you have 66 trillion of the costing. And if you can see that circle I made, that is giving of the Southeast Asia, and Asia is one of the prone where. And why I'm focusing here, because this is the one of the threat coming through the food supply chain. Because so much use, not only as a human we are consuming the antibiotics, and now you can see that as soon as the people are getting flu type of symptoms, we start taking antibiotics. And we know that once you take more antibiotics, the bacteria having us, which are getting resistance, they can mutate very fast, they can change there, and none of the bacteria. So the generations of the bacteria is not working as well there. Other side is there, we are getting a lot more from the agriculture production sites. In agriculture, in aquaculture, in livestock, huge applications, huge. And it has been contaminating not only the productions, and the residuals are coming and getting the human consumed, but it also contaminating the water, contaminating the soil, contaminating the plants, and it is affecting on the plants, affecting the animals, the livestock, the poultry, birds, or the fishes, and which will be major threat. So this is going to be one of the major challenge and threat now, and future is increasing much more. So these are the issues which is coming along with us. Now, along with us, also there is the major threat, like we saw that the food what we are consuming or getting there, is that enough for us? We are eating for 3 times, 4 times a day, that's depending on the eating habit. But are we getting enough nutrients which is giving our immune? Why these infections are so large? Even it is the poor countries, least developed countries, developing countries, or even the developed countries. If our immune systems are, we know now, I mean, all these people where the people are with me here must be knowing that if you have the strong immune systems, then you are somehow getting to resist with this type of bacteria or viruses, which can save us more. Now, where it is coming from, obviously there is a lacking, there is a deficit of that, right? And then COVID also, again, exaggerating that one and affecting on that. There are some examples, you see that the people are being not only hunger, but they're looking for the good food. In some examples given in Nairobi, also given in Dhaka, Bangladesh, but many more countries that's happened, and that's still happening there. That was the one, the lacking of the food itself, not available for the people to eat. But the other side is the quarantine side. Still many, we are also as isolated and quarantined. In quarantine, what we did is, in a stress condition, people sometimes either, if don't get sleep, they eat more. That's the very habitual, and there is a psychology, proven psychology, science is there already. So what you eat, obviously you don't like to cook, but what you like to get the food, which is processed foods. And that processed food, what make that, there are a lot of, that we have to be making more better. So rather than getting healthier foods, the processed foods, and that is what caused that. You see the picture is showing that is caused much more unhealthier. You make more obesity problems, and that makes other diseases to inviting the other diseases, which is called the lifestyle diseases, and which is very likely the increase of the numbers. If you see the scientific evidences are coming from the hospitals, the reports, we are getting much more there as well. Obviously, when there is a people are in the quarantine or getting isolated, staying in room alone, including the kids or the aging people or even the adults or mid-aged people, everybody has some sort of problems they're looking for, and that stress reduces the immune systems as well. When immune systems are reduced, if you don't have enough good or balanced food, what will happen? It invites much more diseases, much more infections. So what is happening now? COVID-19 is giving flu-like symptoms, but due to lack of awareness, due to lack of enough food, we are getting the secondary infections, and that I was emphasizing on antimicrobial resistance. Now, secondary infections are causing more complications, like many people are getting death due to pneumonia, right, rather than getting direct COVID-19 effect. So there are a lot of consequences. The people are having diabetes, they don't get the proper food, they are aiming whatever they're coming, and then they get more sugar rise and getting the death. So those are provoking actually this COVID-19, where we need to change our behavior, we need to change the style, our eating style, consumption style, all those things there. So these are some issues. There are a lot more issues which are surrounding us. COVID has exaggerated all those things as well, but now we have the time. This is the time for, especially for the young generations, the generations of science. Now we are working. The industries have to change the thoughts, and similarly, the policy developers have to bring some attentions. Very surely need to be attention to bring. And there are two things what I think, like sustainable food systems, that our colleagues in panel discussion will give more details on that one. And there is a need of innovations. We have been doing research and development. Are that enough? We need more innovative ideas which can generate and which can make us more healthier towards food generations, which can make more healthier. Like you see that here in one of the left side slide, nutrition and health, we are talking 795 million people are still hungered and malnourished. At the same other side, 2 billion people are obesity or having the heavy weight, overweight. Now, where is the imbalance there is coming the food consumption behavior, eating behavior, the production of the foods, or the lifestyle that has to be. Now it is becoming genetic as well, obviously, or there are other factors are there, but we are talking more here. The second is, that we have a big problem with the climate changing, climate issues, the sustainability issues, where we are talking about how we can reduce the greenhouse gases. So there is a need of changing of the production from the farm level up to the retailers or the consumer level thought as well, towards the sustainability, resources, how to efficiently more, and that's called the circularity or resource efficiency. So if you can recycle the things, or you can make efficiently, like we're talking, some example I can give, the waste which has a high value can be incorporated in the food applications. You can generate a better people, you can have better food for a healthier society as well. So overall, what my emphasize here and urging to the policy to be needed, we need to more think on the innovations, where we can give the community wise, which can be directly implicated there. And then the possible is that you can reduce many more the issues or problems now facing may be solved out. Obviously, it needs a global attention. Okay, few examples I'm taking here, which give you that in the food systems from the production sides up to the consumer levels, how it is reaching there. And if you see that I talk, just a couple of slides will give for the production side, what can be possible and what the world is moving, globally moving, and we should think as well, how we can utilize the waste streams, which has a high value there as well, how we can make the food processing, which is more functional, and which is more personalized for the individuals, where the people can eat only what they need, at what time they need, how much they have the absorption or digestibility systems. Also in the packaging systems, we talk a lot that reduce the plastics, but how we can survive without the plastic, that is another challenge, is we have the other solutions there, and also in the supply chain. So from the food productions up to the consumer, there is a need to changing of the behaviors as well, and bringing two things I talk at the farming level, just giving example for the security sides, food security. If you go for the, we are digital world now, and if you make the utilization of the digital world, especially on the precise farming systems, it may help. And also there is a way coming that how you can get more nutritionally enhanced food with the alternative food sources. That's the globally we need to think. If we think of smart farming systems, okay, now as I mentioned, it is the digital world. Let's utilize the digital world. You can have the smart farming system from the seed productions up to the production harvesting time. You can have, and you can precisely look for there where you need, how you can efficiently utilize the water, how you can efficiently utilize the seeds, how you can efficiently utilize the manpower as well, how you can sense or how you can make the sensing systems that can make the production better, and you can analyze. Then you are not using too much pesticides, you are not going to use too much fertilizers, you are not using too much chemicals, antibiotics, what we have been thinking. So there is a need to think, and there is a need to have the policy, which policy can bound the farmers or the growers to think twice how you can utilize that one. Other than that, now we are talking more alternative food resources, and that's a lot of, that a lot of food scientists especially have been working, or the agriculture scientists also thinking. And why they are thinking like that one is one of the major. If you see that as much as we are cropping land using to grow the food, similar we have to use the pasture land either to graze the animals or to grow the nutrient feed for the animals as well, which is a lot more costing and a lot more, so your land has been utilized. And also in the greenhouse gas emission, you can see that how much we need to have the beef or dairy, similarly for the pig productions. And then you can have also for the aquaculture, other type of animals production or poultry production as well. If you see in the right side, it's saying that GHG greenhouse gas emissions coming from feed crop production is generating almost 40%, while fertilizer of the feed is giving 14% as well. And also cattle and the waste is giving 32%, which is a huge amount out of 100 we are talking. and general farm production 14%. So that gives a thought, and there is a way to move to look for that alternate food resources, which is not the solution, immediate solution, but can be the future of the foods, other than what we are producing in agriculture, livestock, or aquaculture. So I just try to give some ways that we need to move and we think about the future of the foods to reduce these greenhouse gases. But those foods are still the lake of and bringing to the industrialization. So there is a movement bringing, like you see that, we know that the fish eating, the aquaculture is one of the future now as well, where you have a very good quality of the proteins, good quality of fat, rather than getting the other animals as well, it can give the better. Now the insect meals is coming earlier, we have been using for the animal feed, but that is the future food for the human being as well. Utilization of microorganisms, that's another bioresources, which if I talk in Asia, in our culture, we have been eating since hundreds of years. It's not a new, but what we have not been successful still to industrialize it. So there's a need. Now, when I talk in microorganisms, if you know fermented foods, we have been eating a lot more in these countries, and the people here around me here obviously know that what are the fermented foods we have been eating and where we need to make more industrialized. There are still some which is at the lab level, but there is a future that can be coming. Even in Thailand, there are some of the insect like the cricket, the grasshopper farming, and those are coming in the future as well as alternate. And you know, these are the cold-blooded animals. That's called and they are very much good source of the proteins. Like, okay, so it has been used for the feed, animal feed or the livestock feed, but now the future is coming, like, what is the harm if you utilize? Because the growth is much lower, it is not going to affect on the environmental, they're more sustainable, and you are getting good quality of the proteins, good quality of amino acids, you are good quality of getting some minerals and vitamins from them as well. And the growth is much lower, which can give you, and there are some, I can tell you some of those already industrialized, and you can see the one product is there. In Thailand itself, the cricket is quite ahead coming now for as a substitute of the meal for bringing there as well. Just taking examples. Not to surprise, tomorrow you will be eating burger coming from the lab. Sorry, okay. Okay, tomorrow we'll be eating the burgers. Now we are getting from the cow directly, or getting from the pig, or getting from the poultry chicken burgers. But tomorrow is very soon, hopefully, will be coming that the biotech labs, like my lab as well, we will be making the meat, and you will be eating burger from there. So no more growing the cows, no more growing the pigs as well, no more growing the chicken as well. And that is likely to be, and I can tell you some of the European the labs already in success to culture, getting from the stem cells from there, growing in the test tubes, not test tube, Petri plates, and from there you meet, and then tomorrow it can be commercialized using the reactors, bioreactors, and can be generated. And you can see that it will be much more environmental sustainable. And there is a future of such type of things are coming as well. Okay, so these are the things which is giving the alternative way. Other way is like making the personalized food, which is also coming, aiming now. What you need, your plate will be coming there. How much you need, you know that we have the gene, which has the enough DNA, which can be producing maximum amount of enzyme. But what we eat at least 3 or 4 times higher. That, like my research also, I did one of the company here in the livestock poultry birds. And we find that even the company is giving for the animals to feed, this is 3 times higher than what the requirement is there. So why to give that much that you can reduce as well? And that will generate not only money, but also save the environment that's there. So that will give you that is aiming towards to make a better food for the future, and that can give the more healthier society, that's all. Now, when we are talking the industry is growing a lot more already, and they are generating huge amount of waste, right? Either as a loss or the waste. Now, how can you utilize that one that has the high value? You know that one of our panel experts will give more details on that as well, but I just let you know that This has been utilization for, like we know that biogas generations or the renewable energy to produce. But when I look for as a food scientist or as a biotech scientist, I look more different way that all this waste, what we are getting from the agro industries, they are no more waste. There is a zero waste that has the high value and which can generate a lot more resources either for food, for feed, as well as for the cosmetic or pharmaceutical industries. And that's the industries can utilize better way from the low or zero cost to the high value cost. That's our aim. And I think many of our colleagues here with me at this moment, hopefully they have been already working, they have been knowing already, and they are trying to make, the only problem is still coming is there that how to make this waste, to make aware to the consumer level that this is not the waste, this is the high value, which can utilize it, you can, and the industry, how industry can maximize the value from there. Give some example here, what we are doing. You see that the eggshell membrane, which has the cell is there, but the membrane is the fully protein, 95% protein, 5% is there, hyaluronic acid, which has high value for the medical purpose can be utilized. The feathers, you know that in the industrialized countries, how much poultry has been now slaughtered, how much chicken we are eating every day, and the poultry feathers that has been wasted for just dumping somewhere. Rather than dumping, it has high proteins. Why not utilize that protein as well? You know that the very good example in AIT, we had been long time working from the shrimp waste, produce the chitosan. Actually, that was my PhD work as well. And we succeed to make that from the chitosan has application in food, feed, and even in the pharmaceutical. Now, you know that from the chitosan, one of the product has been developed, which can be good for the arthritis people and that even Thailand has commercialized that one as well. So many more, even in the, not only the animal byproducts, but also from the plant-based, they have the huge amount of waste that can be generated and making high value. So low value, like as a fertilizer for biogas generation, one way you can utilize the resources. But then if the valorization is there, what I saw in the last right side, you can see that a lot of they have the bioactive compounds, which can be more beneficial for the human applications in any form, either in the food or in the pharmaceuticals or in the biomedical applications. And that should be the aim of the future to generate. Okay, that's, I told that I will not go too detail on the technical component here, but that's our research as well. And the globally, many of our colleagues have been working on this and showing that this type of value has, and there are a lot of now case studies, like I always give example to my students as well. From the hooves of the animals has been produced huge amount of keratin. And now you know the keratin in our nails as well, and which can give a lot. Now this is already in the cosmetics industries has been using that keratin coming from the animal waste, which was no value at all. Similarly, we have a lot more here. So there is a time to come and think more as well, that one. So those are just few examples. Now I come to the third point here, how we can make food as a medicine. So you don't have to go much hospital, make a food as a, now this is called, in our terminology, we call designer foods, where you have, and I'm sure the Professor Sylvie will be giving more details on that a little bit during the panel discussions, how this nutrition can enhance our systems, health systems through the food as well. Okay, so a few examples just for my talk here can be bringing that. Now you have the food, what we are eating now. If you're adding the bioactive compound, now that is in the food itself, and you know that how much we cook and process, we kill everything. Now there is a need to think of cooking and generating the food as well. And that can be utilized, and that's called the functional food because you are getting more. Now I was talking about a lot of antioxidants, you know, that is having a lot of amino acids, a lot of trace minerals, a lot of vitamins, and the microorganisms, that's the bacteria, good bacteria. I'm talking bacteria means those are the good bacteria which can help to make the functional foods as well. Okay, a few examples just like take that we need. I was very happy, one of the company here, and they have produced the sleeping milk. So I was also, as a food scientist, a bit surprised, what is the meaning of sleeping milk? And then the owner convinced me that when the people from my farm or my industry, if they drink at night, they'd get very good sleep. So they can, then what type of people, especially his target was the newly born, you know, the mothers to give them so they can get better sleep. But then he was telling that it is more. And there is a compound called serotonin or melatonin especially, which makes us sleep. So the milk, if you have, and then what he was telling that he is not adding there anything, but it is getting from the cow itself. So there is a way that we know the science now that can enhance the production there, or you add there, which can make. Now I was suggesting him and he already started thinking, rather than giving the milk, because you know the people moving from here to there, you have the jet lag systems and those people cannot sleep. You don't carry the milk all the time, you can milk tablet. So now he's producing the milk tablet from there, which can give the sleeping as a sleeping pills, but sleeping pills not coming as a synthetic pharmaceutical products, but it's coming from the food, from the dairy science. So there are a lot more things out there which is available in food, which need to be explored, which need to be available for the society, and there's a need to grow that type of things in industry level rather than making the conventional way of that thinking. Okay. Not only this gives as a designer foods, but it also has a lot of value for superfoods, which is not as a medical foods if the people get infected. Like if you think, many of us, we know about the bitter gourds, which is bitter, people who don't like to eat, but bitter gourd contains very high amount of compound, which is similar like insulin. And that has been already proven now. If you eat every day bitter gourds, or taking the juice of the bitter gourd, which is really, you feel like bitter to take, your diabetic patients, the number of diabetic patients will be reduced. Okay, they can be, which are the prone, even the genetically prone, the number will be decreasing. So such things are now needed to grow, which we have there. So think on that. Also, there are much more foods are there which can be more making the healthier and enhance the immune systems of our body. Okay, and one of them is traditional fermented foods. I would like to highlight here in the region Asia and even in Africa, in other countries as well, nations, we have a lot more traditional fermented foods, which has been very much underutilized, which has not been commercialized. This is the time now to make. Think about 100 years back, our ancestors, our grandfathers, or before that, they have been consuming a lot more those things, and they were feeling much healthier than what we are facing now. And that can help the immune system. And that's the proven science is there. What only you need is that it's bring to the policy level, it brings to the industry level, and make the industry how to utilize that one. So there is a way to think more and bring to the industrialization of this process as well, which can help. And it has been told that if you have the fermented foods, your bioaccessibility, or you can increase the delivery systems by many products, because the delivery system has to work as well, enhancing the systems, you get enough food or nutritionally enhanced food for the healthier society. The other, what we talk in the sustainability, obviously the packaging systems, what I talked earlier, there's a big problem on the plastic and the packaging systems, very difficult to control. But can we think about utilizing those wastes or the materials which can be biodegradable more, right? And then you can, so there are few, is possible, we can start with the thinking of that, active packaging, making some plastics from the biological materials, incorporating antimicrobial agents, which is coming from the bacteria or other compounds as well, which can enhance the shelf life as well. And the right side, I show you that one of the projects we did in our lab as well. We developed edible packaging. So we put the coffee there in that biodegradable, not biodegradable, edible, and you don't have to throw anything. You can drink that coffee together. So package is gone there, inside there. So this is a small thought in the lab, but this can be possible to bring to the industries. Like you can see in the upper, that is also one of my doctoral students did the research, and we developed the membrane systems which can be wrapping the meat, meatballs. The fish balls or meatballs were wrapped. So if you want to make the soup, make soup with these edible, the packaging. So you don't have to throw anymore, you are eating those. And these are it has already proteins or polysaccharides. So there is no problem consuming those as well. Okay, so that helps also. The last part of is food safety, which is very much essential now to how to, and the safety is major issue, like I told you that we are, and in the safety, the much more thing is the policy here. There are proper guidelines have been given, we know that the quality assurance, quality management systems are there, but the policy has to bring strictly. There are certain things has to be mandatory for the industry, for the retailers, for the farmers, for the growers, and at the consumer level as well. And they are the way you can make that more sustainable. And that's the COVID-19 obviously make more prone, and we need to think twice as well now, because there are the lays like the people, we need to have the distance maintaining as well. You need to have a lot more things to utilize when you go to the working in the industries there. And there is another way of industry, or even the policy developers or who are working as a food safety, they need to think how to eliminate the possible causative agents or the hazards, possible hazards, which is not there, that you can bring to the consumers nicely, fully of the safer food. Okay. In the not only the production side, but supply chain is very important, that you have the safer food, and that gives there. Now we utilize the digital technologies, utilizing the IoT based technologies or the blockchain technology which is coming, where you have the interlinkages, and it can be, and it's very nice. Some of our colleagues also in Europe already working that the packaging system, you put some nano chips there, and the consumer, if you buy some products, you will be tracked down whether you are proper storage or not. So that type of systems need to be more developed, which will be more sustainable, more safer, producing to the healthier societies. Okay, so all these things I try to make the issues in 15-20 minutes. Cannot, but obviously will be more getting from you as well what I give. So what we think here, what we eat, we know that one. So that will give you better society, and make a food as a medicine itself. That's the aim of this room. I try to bring the attention by many ways. With this, I would like to thank you, all of you who are in this room as well as on the digital screen. Thank you very much.